ears are very important to us. Please hold on, and our program will begin shortly. The Soundcheck podcast is coming up. Please continue to hold. Keep up with the Soundcheck podcast and everything that's happening in the New Sounds empire. Just go to newsounds.org and follow us on social media. All of the icons are in the top right corner of the page. All of our other musicians are currently playing for other customers. Please stay with us, and someone will play for you in just a moment. The Soundcheck Podcast.
He says on this morning you will die, but before then you must try.
From newsounds.org and the studios of WNYC in New York, it's time for another live performance in our Soundcheck podcast series, streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. I'm John Schaefer. The band San Fermin has always balanced the sounds of art and pop music, mainly because their lead composer, Ellis Ludwig-Leone, writes both songs and contemporary classical music. The band's new album, The Cormorant 1, might be their most ambitious and, in parts at least, their most blatantly pop record. It's got a big anthemic sound in spots, but Ellis has brought in a stripped-down acoustic version of San Fermin, and they're going to start us off with a song. Here is The Hunger.
This hunger that I can't describe, this hunger, but I don't know why. Another night, another try. I'm starving like I'm gonna die. I'm staring through an empty suit like white. I wear these fucking shoes. I'm weaving through these endless nights. Don't know why, I don't know why. I don't know why. And eventually I'll fall for another disappointment. When did it get like this? When I was such a nice kid. Keep it to yourself tonight and try to look alive. You're a star, you're a fine, you're a pretty little lie. So get your head on right. Imagine that it's like when you were younger. The hunger. So feed me all your valentines, your chocolates and your cheesy lines. Another one and a fire will fill me in another time. I guess that's fine. And eventually I'll fall for another disappointment. When did it get like this? When I was such a nice kid. Keep it to yourself star, you're refined, you're a pretty little light. So get your head on right. Imagine that it's like when you were younger. Always the lonely, always the lonely ones, always the lonely ones go. Always the lonely, always the lonely ones, always the lonely ones know. The hunger and try to look alike. The hunger, you're a pretty little light. The hunger, alright. Imagine that it's like the hunger, the hunger. Always the lonely, always the lonely ones, always the lonely ones go.
The song is called The Hunger. That's not how it sounds on the record. The band is San Fermin, a very scaled down version. Ellis Ludwig-Leone, welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Ellis playing our piano, and on both vocals and percussion, Claire Wellen and Carly Bruce. And on the record, that song, Ellis, is just, it's big, it's anthemic. It's got this huge kind of pop chorus, you
Yeah.
know? Here, stripped down like this, it reveals its kind of hidden art song heart.
Sure, I'll take it.
Yeah.
When I write these songs, I am an arranger at heart, and I like to build these arrangements, but I always want to make sure that they also work in a bare bones way from a songwriting perspective.
Well, I mean, sitting here and watching you at the piano and Carly and Claire, you know, just standing nearby singing, it kind of makes me think it must have been kind of like this when you wrote the song.
Yeah, this one particularly, and on this record, I think I tried to make a little bit more of an effort to write songs that I felt like I could sit at a piano with a singer and just work out together.
Yeah. On the other hand, as I say, there are some tracks on the record, including The Hunger and also Saints, which you'll play next, which build up to this big kind of grand, sort of like 1960s pop, you know, the orchestral sounds. Was that something you listened to as a kid?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think maybe a little bit later, but Paul Simon, I mean, like his, Graceland record, like that was,
Oh, sure.
that was like that was just always on in the house when I was growing up. Also, Abbey Road, Beatles, which also I think a lot of their sort of later stuff had that kind of conceptual sweep to it. And yeah, you never outgrow that music. Like it just kind of sticks with you for your whole life.
Well, it's such a great sound too, you know. We think of strings and horns and, we naturally think of classical music or maybe film music, but those instruments sound great in a pop setting and always have, I mean, this is one of the things that, made Dusty Springfield records and,
Totally.
all those James Bond theme songs so catchy,
Yeah, well, we hope that that's true because we go on tour with 8 people, so we're certainly paying for it.
So you can recreate the studio sound in a live setting.
Yeah, pretty close. I think that the band, the versions of the band that we bring out on tour, which is an 8-person band, it captures the sort of like size and grandness. But on the recording, there's 24 players.
Right, right.
So actually, Claire, she's sort of got an amazing task ahead of her, which is that she sings lead on some of these songs, she sings backup on some songs, and she's also basically playing an entire string quartet part, like on one violin,
Nice.
So there's a lot of that kind of thing where I have to arrange, from a 20-something person sound to an 8-person sound.
Right. But as we've seen when you've played live for us in the past, it works.
Yeah.
And so tell me about this new record. When I first saw the title, I thought it was the Cormorant I. I the Cormorant. But it's not. It's the Cormorant 1.
Yes.
The Roman numeral 1.
Yeah.
Which implies there's a 2 down the road.
Yes.
So is there a story unfolding here?
Yeah. The cormorant it's like a seabird,
Yes,
kind of also known as the snake bird, and it has this kind of creepy aspect to it. And when I was writing a lot of this music, I was in Iceland, in this little town in the West Fjords, where my friend had a place, and I stayed at his place, and every morning I'd go for a walk, and I would see these birds, and they sort of felt like there's this sort of like augur aspect to them, this sort of death omen kind of thing.
Oh.
And so that shaped the beginning of the record.
So are cormorants considered, I mean, you know how like crows are often considered a bad omen, an omen of
I don't think so. I think
this was just you
we're making our own mythology here. Yeah.
Cormorants are the ones with the kind of S-shaped necks,
yeah.
right?
And they do this thing where when they dry their wings, they put their wings out, and it's like this sort of imposing looking thing, actually.
Yeah. I'm not much of a fisher, but my dad has always fished, and I know that fishermen hate cormorants because when you're casting out, very often you'll reel in a cormorant.
Yes, right.
And it's like, well, what do I do with
Yeah.
this? Aside from whatever image that bird evokes, I mean, is this a concept record? Is there a theme running through it?
I always feel a little funny about the word concept record because it brings like, it's Tommy or it's, any of those 60s records. And I don't think that this is, as explicit as that. But whenever I write, I feel like I need a reason to do it, and I, when I started writing this record, I thought like, I spent the first few days just thinking about a framework for where to hang these songs and how to sort of, and so it starts with this kind of death augur bird who shows up. I believe you played a little bit of that song
at the
intro.
very beginning, right?
And then it sort of just like starts this kind of magical realist story that follows these two characters loosely. I say characters kind of loosely. These two voices through from childhood until the end of their lives. With the bird kind of threaded through.
Okay, so this first album is like from childhood to what? Like middle age?
Yeah, I would say till like right now for me, like 29, 30.
Okay. So where does the song that you're going to do next called Saints come in this
this song
timeline?
This song is Saints is about like the sort of microaggressions of within like a relationship, and the chorus is about why do you have to be such a goddamn saint, and so I guess that could kind of fall anywhere in a number of years depending on but it's sort of I imagine sort of a younger couple.
Okay. Let's hear a live performance. The band is San Fermin. The album is called The Cormorant 1, and the full band, 8 pieces strong, will be back here in New York playing at Brooklyn Steel on December 6th. But here's this acoustic trio version doing a song called Saints.
Thinking back on all my friends, years and years of birthday parties, little fiends on Halloween, monsters in the fields, losing track of all my friends. Guess who's moving in together? Put a grown-up costume on, only you and me. Haunted houses where we sleep, with the ghosts of boyfriends watching. Guess we won for nothing. How paradoxical. Brace the walls with good intentions. Temporary architecture. Build me something beautiful, beautiful. Why you have to to be a goddamn saint. Don't you see it only makes this hard? Why you have to be a goddamn saint? Nobody's dying for this love. Saint who raised me from the dead, saint who saved me from the party, saint who lives with no regrets. How pathological. Losing track of all our friends, guess who's moving in together? Just a couple quiet martyrs, quiet martyrs. Why you have to be a goddamn saint? Don't you see it only makes this hard? Quiet martyrs turned in. Why you have to be a goddamn saint? Nobody's dying for this love.
The song is called Saints, and you will find a version of that, again, a much bigger orchestrated version of it on the new album by the band San Fermin called The Cormorant 1. Once again, Ellis Ludwig-Leone at our piano with Claire Wellen and Carly Bruce singing. And I have a question for the two of you in a moment, but it revolves around this next question for you, Ellis, which is, unlike most pop bands, San Fermin plays with sheet music. So this is all notated, right?
Yeah, so it's I mean, when we perform, when we go on tour, we everything's memorized. But we do start, I sort of think of the band as having two versions of every song. Like there's the one version where I notate everything out and we come into the studio and it's one by one and we kind of work on it and it's pretty to book. And then we have this period of time, which is currently happening right now, actually, for us, where we have rehearsals with the band and everyone sort of internalizes this music and then we take it on the road. And that's kind of a cool process because it changes a lot.
I was just going to ask, does that process end up changing the song?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are people in the band who are more or less inclined to change their parts. But I think for the most part, everyone tries to internalize it. I mean, these guys could probably speak to it better than I could, but they try to internalize it and everyone makes suggestions. We have a pretty open sort of experience.
So, Claire, are you, I mean, you have sheet music in front of you.
Yeah.
You clearly are musically literate. Are you a classically trained singer as well?
Yes, I am, yes.
So, and Carly?
Yeah, also the same in Australia. Yeah.
So how...
So it's different. I'm joking.
So how is it then, you have to rein in the classical voice to do the... Ick? Yuck.
I'm sorry for letting my feelings come out. Sorry, Mom.
Well, I mean, here's, if these were actual art songs, you would not have a microphone in front of you.
No.
We'd have a pair of stereo mics somewhere in the room, and you and Ellis at the piano would have to balance yourselves.
Yes.
So when you're doing the croony stuff, you need...
Yeah.
So...
I mean, I grew up doing literally just that with my parents and in my family and my brothers, and I mean, I would not be the musician I am without having that experience of 18 years before I ever, or even 20, 21 before I even had a microphone in front of me. So certainly there is like I'm a hybrid, version of someone who started classically and then went to jazz and then to pop and indie music. So, it's all in the wash.
And the first time they stuck a microphone in front of you, did you blow the
mean,
thing out or something?
Well, I was incredibly uncomfortable with amplification. Like it took me a long time to get used to it, and it totally changed the way that I played and sang certain things. And I think that, the good news is that that's a new type of skill set, right, that you can develop. But I think we all use a lot of different skill sets.
Yeah,
every single person in the band, and that's part of what makes it special. So, as much as I gripe about it's very helpful and goes a long way in the room.
Yeah.
All right. Dare I ask Carly the same question, or am I going to get another weird answer?
It's sort of the same. I grew up listening to a lot of different types of music, and my degree at university was classical, and then outside of that, I was seeing a lot of jazz. I grew up playing piano. I wouldn't challenge Ellis these days, and then saxophone and
no cutting contests in the San Fermin rehearsal room.
Not quite. Or not yet. Yeah, so I don't know. I like it all. I love music. I like all of it as a thing.
Yeah.
And I think everything influences the rest of it. So.
And the technology does matter, because the style we call crooning, that didn't happen till someone stuck a microphone in front of Bing Crosby's mouth and allowed him to really do that low, soft thing and still be heard.
Well, our third singer, Alan, who's not here today, but he's
Right.
I mean, when I work with him, it's like he'll be sitting next to me at the piano and I can't hear him because he's got such a low and quiet voice. And so it's really, I remember one of our first shows we ever did was a Tiny Desk concert for NPR, and like they could not figure out how to mic us because they try to do it with one shotgun mic, so they just put it up in his mouth basically.
Now, a lot of Alan's songs on the record are the smaller, more intimate, scaled down songs. So I guess you're writing to the singer, not to a voice type.
Yeah, I try to. And I think, I've worked with Alan since I was 15, and which is crazy, which is literally half of my life. So I feel like his voice is the voice I hear when I, think like, musically. It's the first thing I hear. And so I also, by this point, you sort of know how to work with someone. So for him, it's like he can shout. We did a song once with Sam Amadon where he was up there sort of shouting in a sort of folky way. But for the most part, he likes to be kind of low. He likes to be warm. And I think that works best for his sound. Whereas when I'm writing for Claire or Carly, it's like there's a little bit more athleticism to the writing.
Right, and the song that you played, Saints, by the end on the record, the voices are really kind of leaping out of the mix at you.
Yeah.
But this next song called The Myth, now this actually is a kind of a smaller scale song on the record. So, and this is also, is this the end of the record?
It's the end of the record, the last song. And I really told myself going into this record, I know myself at this point. I was like, I know I'm going to try to just build everything into these huge epic songs, and I don't want to do that on this record. And so I told myself that I wouldn't. And this was the first song that I wrote on this record, and I kept to my promise on this one.
Well done, Ellis. All right, so this is The Myth, and we'll hear a live performance. Again, the album is called The Cormorant 1. It's out now from the band San Fermin. Heading out on tour and then coming back here to New York on December 6th to play at Brooklyn Steel. Today they're playing for us. You want to play it?
Let's do it.
All right. The song's called The Myth.
When the seabirds come to close my eyes and leave my body behind, when the time is come lift this worried weight from my spine. I want to bathe in amber by a quiet bay. I want to feel the water on my naked legs, the salt drying on my skin. When the seabirds come, and they will know the names of everyone I loved. Lemons on a lemon tree, slowly drying up. It'll be alright. I would sing for their lives. I would sing for their lives if I knew the words. When the seabirds come, ships in an orange sky, and birds of brilliant white fly low to talk to me. Remind me of the child who I used to be, running on tiptoe. Ooh, I would sing for my life. Ooh, I would sing for my life if I knew the words.
The Myth, the final song on the new album by the band San Fermin, this live version played here in our studio. And so, Ellis, you mentioned that, the Cormorant is this kind of recurring image, and here in the last song on the record, the seabird reappears.
Right.
So this is the to be continued track, I guess.
I'd say that's right. Yeah, exactly.
So with the Cormorant 1 out
Yeah.
and the band ready to tour it, what's the status of the Cormorant 2? Have you started? Is it done? I mean, what's...
It's I wrote all these songs together as one project. So it's ready. It's like, I'm not sure exactly when Sony's going to put it out, but it's the songs are done, and to me the writing process, like I've washed my hands of it.
Now it's about, as you said before, kind of relearning the songs in the live version.
Yeah.
All right. So you didn't want to do a 2-record set, huh? And give us the whole story at once?
There was a lot of conversation about that. And at first I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's just do the whole thing. And then, there's a really natural intermission point at the end of this song.
Yeah, it really is a lovely way to end it.
Yeah, and it felt like, and if I'm really being honest, I think about even when bands I really love put out a record of an hour of music, which is what that would be.
Yeah.
It takes a while to get through it.
Takes a whole hour.
Yeah, exactly. so it's good to give people a little intermission.
Yeah. All right. So we'll take an intermission of some months or whatever between Cormorant 1 and Cormorant 2. But in the meantime, Cormorant 1 is out now. It's great to have you back here, Ellis, and Carly and Claire. Thank you for being with us as well.
Happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. This is Soundcheck.